Well, nobody, Jody, nobody's waiting on us. We're live now. It's my fault because I just fired up this stream now, and my bad. But the people, well, we're going to find out right now. The people that are waiting on us to go live, if they're hanging out. I mean, we've already got a like on here. We've got people coming in, so let's see what happens, buddy.
Sounds
But
good.
first and foremost, got something I want to get off my chest.
Before you do, everybody, welcome to the show. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes, I would be remiss if we forgot to do that. James Stewart is in the chat. All
Okay,
right.
let her rip, Ryan. Let her rip.
As you guys know, I am the Canadian Arm Wrestling Federation president. It is a role that I came into, and everyone's like, why WAF? Why WAF? Well, here's the thing. How this unfolded was there was an effort that was being put forth to allow Canadian Arm Wrestling Federation nationals to qualify athletes for either tournament, IFA or WAF. We decided to go down that path. All we had to do for WAF to agree to this is to remove ourselves as membership of IFA. That happened. Somebody, not me, brought forward the motion to join WAF. Officially, I supported it. Now, we are not officially members of WAF yet. We are working towards that. But unbeknownst to me at the time, there seems to be an attempt to hold power by the people that could make it a whole lot easier for the Canadian Arm Wrestling Federation. And I'm not talking about WAF. I'm talking about people on our continent who have put steps in place and demands that they want in order to step aside and allow the Canadian Arm Wrestling Federation to be the governing body. Now, if you're paying attention, that involves two individuals. And I would say to them, you are not doing what's best for the sport, and we will not comply or be forced to do things that are not democratic. It's that simple.
And you will not mention their names.
I will not.
There you go. I think I know who, but
they know who they are. They know who they are. But it's getting to be a little bit silly. So I am communicating directly with the World Arm Wrestling Federation to work this stuff out.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And what can or can you not say about the situation?
Well, here's the deal, right? Everyone says, oh, WAF did this, WAF did this. There's allegations, there's all this stuff. I put out a request for the Canadian Arm Wrestling Federation logo to be removed from the IFA website, and we can't even figure out who the hell does that website to get it taken off because it's been weeks. And it wasn't intentional, I'm told. And there's no contact information. I have to contact through Facebook. Right. So basically, the other side of the argument is come back to WAF because we are IFA because we aren't WAF. That seems to be the argument. But there's gangsters in every room in both those Congress meetings. Let's be honest. So the whole thing is a bit of a mess. We're working through it.
How about we quit fighting each other over this shit? Because meanwhile, while this whole thing, IFA, WAF, WWE, WCW, whatever, meanwhile, while all this is going on behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff, these organizations are forming, these leagues are forming. And I'm sorry, but right now they're giving a bunch of wrestlers, which, every wrestler arm wrestler should benefit from it. They're giving the pullers opportunities to participate in that for their own brand or whatever you want to call it, So because of all this melee going on, that's why you got all this stuff going,
Well, I mean, and you got some of these organizations that are actually affiliated with World Arm Wrestling Federation. So keep all this in mind when everyone's like, well, what is WAF doing? Well, WAF's doing a lot. There's a lot of events to participate in. There's a lot of affiliations with professional leagues. Do they not want you to compete in certain places? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Are they making you make a choice? Yes. Yes, they are.
Well, you know my stance on that. My whole argument, I didn't sign a contract with you, so you don't tell me what to do. You don't tell me where I cannot compete. I didn't sign nothing for nobody. So guess what? I'm going to do what the hell I want to do because I have a right to represent myself. And if I want to go further, represent my country, and can't nobody tell me how to do that. I don't care if you're IFA or WAF, because at the end of the day, and I've said this time and time again, and this is for both organizations, the pullers are the ones that are suffering. So that's just how I feel.
So right now, the way it's set up is Canada has the ability. We do not recognize bans at the national level. So if somebody's not in good standing with WAF, that does not matter. They are not forcing us to honor those things unless it's doping related. But if it's just a not in good standing letter that's been, or they're put on a list, that you can still compete at the Canadian Nationals. You can still come there and you can qualify for either event. The one issue is there is a party in Canada that picks that team to go to WAF right now. Right. And we're trying to replace them as the Canadian representation. There's a couple things that North Americans hold really dear. It's the ability to have freedom and not be controlled or told where to go. And it's democracy.
I think it is too, before we go to our next subject. My thing is that if you want our sport, everybody in the chat knows this. Ryan, you know this. I know this. The worst case scenario, you're trying to grow the sport, and you want all these new people go, man, this arm wrestling looks pretty cool. I guess I'll go ahead and stick my toe in the water and see what happens. But the problem is that when you get these new pullers and all of a sudden they get exposed to this bullshit, and they're like going, what's this all about? This is why arm wrestling cannot get off the ground.
Yeah.
From that standpoint, because of all this dumb shit. Now, thank you, Ingen, for doing what you do. Larry Wheels, Neil Pickup, the Arm guys and those guys. Thank you. Monster Marker Todd. Those people have stepped up to the plate and go, you know what? If you want to compete, that's what it comes down to. Just compete. Feel free. Now, some are invitation only, other ones you can just, join in. Aside from all those organizations, you got tons and tons of tournaments. You go there, you sign up, you just compete. Don't worry about the other dumb shit, unless you really, really want to. But you know what? I don't have that kind of time in life to sit there and stress over shit like that. I want to compete, be the best I can, and go from there.
Yeah. Yep. So the WAF banning thing, that's the subject, right? So the not in good standing list, GB is saying arm wrestlers should be free agents.
Right.
You have the choice. You just can't go back and forth. So that's the issue. However, in the pro leagues, it's pretty much open season, although I'm told East versus West has some affiliations with WAF. And that will be interesting to see how that plays out. Engen, one of the very good things he's done is even if you aren't invited, there is a path to get there.
Well, didn't Georgie just win the WAF Worlds this past fall?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he winds up on England's show, and when he pulled Jerry Cataract. So yeah. I guess if you're talking about that path, right?
No, I'm talking about the qualifiers that he has.
Oh, yeah.
All over the place.
Well, I mean, again, it's just given, arm wrestlers, because the attention should be on the pullers, right? Not the figureheads of the organization, not the powers that be. We're doing it for the pullers. That's who should be in, the attention should be on. After all, we got all these regional qualifiers now all over, right? But it gives you a choice, Do you think you're good enough to attend one of these? If I'm asking myself, I would say I am not going to pull in the qualifier, and we have one here in the West region, Vancouver, Washington, March 4th, I believe. I will not be partaking in that. However, I will be refereeing, because I look at it like this. For me, I don't know if I told you this before, for me, nothing has nothing to do with me not having confidence in myself. I just know that, you know, I am not East versus West. I'm not that kind of guy. You know, I'm not East versus West material. You know, I'm not. That's just what it is. You know.
Now you know why I'm highlighting this comment, right? They just made a post on their social media. What did it say, Jody? World Arm Wrestling League said something about making huge plans or something big is coming. What something along that line, right?
That was the one with Jerry Cataretto, right?
Yeah, they just did that like a week ago. And
but if you've been paying attention,
like,
they've been doing that throughout the last few years, though.
Yeah, then there was the quiet, like they were awfully quiet for a long time. And then the King of the Table was affiliated with, they were like in association with World Arm Wrestling League. But then the last couple of events, that logo had dropped off of their advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had all of a sudden this post came out of the blue that said, you know, big things coming or whatever. So World Arm Wrestling League is announcing or teasing that they might be doing something or have some plans in the works. But they've done that to us before, so it's hard to say. It better be a huge tournament to reestablish the brand, is all I'm saying.
Well, here's my take. Who are you, not you personally, but if you're WAL, who exactly are you targeting? Because you guys have been, you know, quiet for the last X amount of years, all your big play guys are doing something else now.
And none of them have any interest in signing a contract.
Right. We all signed some kind of contract. Ryan, you signed a contract. I've signed a contract. Nothing ever happened. So, you know, we've all been there, done that. All it does is, you know, ends up being frustrating and a pain in your ass. But all the big players that were part of that, they're doing other things now. Like, look, if Ingen, from what I understand, is paying your airfare to come to, you know, Turkey, paying for this, paying for that, why in the world would you go back to Wall? Just curious.
It'll be tough for them to compete.
Or they'll come back, but it won't be the Wall as we know it.
It'll be something a little more modest, like the UAL under Bill Collins.
Which I think is okay, honestly, because, again, this will be another league that opens doors for other, you know, pullers that don't, maybe not on the level as the elites. Because, again, you know, I think with all these different organizations forming, it gives something back. You know, there's something for somebody. I think we're at that stage now, which is fine. It's like the old wrestling territories of the 80s. You know, there was always a regional thing everywhere, and it was great because now it's like, oh, okay, even though I'm not one of the elite people, I can still compete here and compete here, and still you're still going to have good pullers no matter where you go. That's just, you know, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, Dan Flexman, East versus West is going to be in Istanbul or somewhere in Turkey until East versus West is no more. I do not foresee them traveling other than the qualifying events. Now, those tournaments, there was rumors of a Canadian tournament. I don't know if it's going to happen or not.
There you go. Ooh, James Clark. Highlight that, Ryan. Please.
There we go.
Okay, it says, I'm sure Wall knows none will sign a contract, but as long as they offer money, then the pullers will follow. 5K and not having to travel all the way to Turkey is a big for a lot of people. It is, but just remember, when you go to Turkey, it's not, from what I understand, it's not coming out of your own pocket. So
WAL had several contracts, and somebody asked how they paid. It really depended who you were. Like, I think guys like Michael Todd, Devin, they made quite a bit of money. Matt Mask, I think he had a pretty favorable contract. Most of us got accommodations and a set fee, so it was we didn't pay. Like, we had our flights, we had an allowance for travel, and then a show purse. So you had two pockets or two pools of money to draw from, and you paid for your trip, and it was more than enough that it would cover your trip.
So if you could talk about your situation, we saw you in one of the Wall events versus Jerry Cataret. How'd that unfold? I guess, can you talk about that? I guess now it doesn't matter.
For sure. I mean, It was a single match deal, which I did sign a contract after that. However, the pandemic started immediately after. Yeah, so WAL, it was a one match deal. I think there was, there was a prize purse to win. It was like $1,000 or something. But they paid me a set fee to travel and show up there. And it was more than enough to cover my travel.
Right.
Okay. My wife tagged along. We had a vacation out of it. Went to the Preakness in Baltimore and all that stuff. And,
I mean, and that part is good because it's like, hey, if you got the money to do that, but the problem is, unless you got just like bottomless tons of cash hanging around, it's going to be kind of hard because then you expect that. It's like, remember in WAL, we're like the early stages of WAL, hey, come to this tournament. First place is 10 grand. Wow. It woke everybody up like, hey, and this was a tournament. So it's kind of like, this is like our version of what the over the top tournament was, right?
Yeah.
And then the following year, hey, let's double up. That was going to be 20 grand. And everybody was going nuts, Then next thing you know, they went back to 10 grand. Then the next time it was like, okay, now we're going to have a select few and make it a super series. Then it was like, oh, okay, so all the guys who actually participated, it was like, well, I guess I'm not one of these select few now. And they were kind of on the fence,
Yeah. James Clark is making good points, though. I mean, I see it. Would I rather not, like, with my lifestyle and my career, would I rather, leave on a Friday, come back on a Sunday? Absolutely. If I travel to Turkey, I'm leaving on a Thursday, coming back on a Tuesday. It's a significant difference. And if I really want to get acclimated to not have jet lag, I'm leaving on the Tuesday before and I'm gone for a whole week.
Right.
Now, that might be okay once a year, but if it's a few times a year, I mean, that'd be hard.
Right. Dan Plexman says, what about Arm Gods? I heard rumors it's coming to Canada. I did hear that also. I know for sure if Beerman would have beat Paul for that Commonwealth title, for sure they would have came to, Canada. They're going to try to get the belt back. I did hear rumors about that. I would have to get a hold of Paul Maiden and say, hey,
Now, I have not heard that. I've not heard that.
I did hear that. It's just, like I said, but it's a rumor. So until someone says from the horse's mouth, the next one's going to be here, then it's all speculation. So, but yes, I did hear that too, Dan.
And they're on the up and up. Hopefully there's no fist fights at the next one.
Well, I mean, and like I said, if you think about it, all the big Arm Gods, Arm Wars, King of the Table, East, First, West, those four they're all across the pond. And I know everybody in North America is like saying, well, when can we get an event like that over here? Well, I mean, this is why the Monster Factory is so special, because it is in the States,
That's the crazy thing, is we have this weird sense of entitlement that the guy that pours his heart and soul into his event, Engin Terzi, is suddenly going to attempt to do that on a different continent. He's not going to. You can say it's not fair all you want. That's his event. Mm-hmm. You're welcome to pick up the torch over here and run an event. There's lots of people doing it. There's lots of people running events. The fact is, he probably has a way easier time raising the money to pay these athletes where he's at.
Yeah. Or if you get a promoter who happens to say, hey, I want to do something like that here in the States. Okay, then you got to go, okay, what am I up against? If I want these big names to come to my event to spark things up, then you got to go, okay, how much is it going to cost me? You can ask Travis Bajan. He'll tell you, this is my set fee for me to show up. You can ask Tadzilla, this is what I charge for me to show up. So if you're a promoter out there who wants to do a big event here in the States, be prepared. It's almost like you're a prize fighter. I don't know. I probably shouldn't even use that phrase, but it's almost like you're a prize fighter, because these guys who are going these East First, they're getting paid that some good money, and you want them to come to your event. Once they get a taste of that, a bite of that apple, they're going to want the same thing. Hey, well, I got paid to go over here, so you tell me, what can you do for me? They're going to ask that. They're going to tell you that. They've earned that for one. They've earned that, right? But if you ask me, I guess you could say I'm a cheap date, but if somewhere where they ask me, hey, I'd love to have you come to my event. Okay, I'm not going to ask you. I'm not going to say, hey, it's going to cost you $1,500. I don't roll like that,
Well, I'm going to talk to you like I'm an old man and say back in my day. But when I started, man, we spent thousands of dollars traveling around for plastic trophies. We didn't get paid for anything. The super match wasn't even a thing until I think Neil Pickup brought it along in the somewhere in the 2000s. But yeah, I mean, we would drop so much money. Like I would have to make quite a bit off of arm wrestling just to recoup everything I spent in the past 25 years.
But here's the thing, Ryan, when we did this stuff, right? This is year number 13 for me in the sport. So, Ryan, you remember those Velcro straps, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's when I got into it. Velcro straps were the thing. So you got to remember those days, it wasn't about how much money, first place was. That was just a bonus. It was more like, okay, who's showing up? Because I'm going to wreck someone's weekend. That was your mindset. But now we've moved on to where, you're getting paid as an athlete. You're like going, man, I like this, man. I want to do it again and again and again and again. But, I've gone to tournaments where, hey, all I can do is pay for your maybe hotel. That's fine. That's one thing I don't have to worry about. I'll focus on, paying for my own flight, or in reverse, I can pay for your flight, but not your hotel. Don't worry about it. If you can do that for me, that's awesome. Appreciate that. I'll figure out the rest,
Yeah.
That's what I'm about. And maybe I'm stuck in that, that era. But if someone's willing to pay for everything, that's fine. But I also know in my mind, that doesn't mean that that's going to happen the next time around. That's all I'm saying,
Yeah, I'm going to highlight Dan's comment here because it's kind of funny, but he is correct. However, Dan, I can also tell you that mixed martial arts was there for a time. I climbed into a cage and tried to take another guy's head off while he was doing the same thing to me, almost naked, for a plastic trophy.
You see these trophies behind me?
Yeah.
And those are just the plaques and trophies. The medals are in the big box over here in my closet. But they for me, they mean something because, again, yeah, you can get paid all that money, which is good and everything. But guess what? When that money's gone and will be spent, what do you have to show for it? That's just me, though.
Memories, buddy, because someday our children will go through all those trophies and throw most of them away.
Children, grandchildren,
great-grandchildren.
Yeah.
Keep a couple of good ones and get rid of the rest.
That's what Chafee did. There's a video out there, a segment, and then they had Chafee on there. He says he's throwing so many away, he only keeps the important ones. So there was like the Nationals, the Worlds, the Zloty, he kept those. Those mean a lot. And I totally get it too.
Well, it's funny because if you go through my trophies, some of the most gigantic and most impressive looking ones are the ones that mean the least.
Well, yeah, but you know what? It would be kind of cool to have one of those gorilla trophies on one of these.
Yep. But that means something. The Golden Gorilla, that's a tough tournament.
Yeah. So, or what they had the Gators down there. Was it Louisiana or Florida? They got some kind of Gator trophy.
Yeah.
That's cool. If you want one of those axes or hatchets or whatever, you got to go to the Midwest. That's where they have them at. So those kind of things are cool. And and I see why Michael's all in all those kind of things. He had this big necklace he won in Ohio. So, they say something, but for me, that's what it's all about. Now, you might have a hard time with some of those swords you win, trying to get through security. If you got to, at the airport, you might have to have a conversation.
That baggage, man. You got to check that.
Right.
I've brought back some weird stuff over the years, but man, I've seen tournaments like the one I just refereed like a week ago.
Yeah.
He made like a miniature version of a UAWL hammer for all the first place winners, and they were awesome. It made me tempted to actually pull an arm just to get one, but I stuck to my refereeing duties.
But that's the thing, though. Remember, that's what it's all about. And it's just, hey, I remember Wall had those regionals in the United States. There was one in Philly. It's a big plaque. Uncle Sam with the arm. if you won, you got that plaque. The one in Louisiana, the South region, you had the big gator. Out west, you had the big bear flexing, with the wall on his bicep. I forgot what the Midwest had, or the North, but you went to those because Matt Mask cleaned house that year and got all of them, So Neil's in the house. Hey,
we got 3 things to talk about.
Let's do it.
But seeing how Neil brought it up, let's start with him.
Okay.
Because this match seems, is it just me, or did this come out of nowhere and was all right, it's set, and it's a couple weeks away? Normally these things take longer to plan. Do they not?
It felt like it came out of nowhere, and I'm glad it did, because it was no one saw it coming. And you know what? That's how you're supposed to do it. If you don't see it coming, it's oh man, because at that point, after East First West number 6, what was the attention on the big one? It was King of the Table, because now everybody was focusing on that. And all of a sudden, hey, curveball, guess what? It's whoa, So yeah, it keeps everybody on their toes. But like I said before, ever since COVID kind of wiped everything out for the most part, we are slowly but surely gaining ground on, hey, making this sport great again. I should probably get a hat. Make arm wrestling great again. Because look, did anybody see that? I know Devin kind of said a few things, if he talks in riddles these days. So I know he was at Arm Gods up in Ireland a few weekends ago, and he mentioned over there who he wanted to pull next. And if you're really paying attention, he kind of said it then without saying his name. And then Neil and had the guys on there, and all of a sudden they're going back and forth. And next thing you know, I go get a glass of water, and boom, here we are,
I do not recall being quite as excited for a Devin Larratt match recently as I am for this one, because I think Sandris is the perfect guy for him. The style is going to give Devin trouble. He looked so impressive against Matt, it wasn't even close. I don't know, man. It came together fast. Neil, if you want to throw that link in the chat, please do. Please feel free to do that. But February 4th, ARMWARS Dark Card. Cool name. Devin Larratt.
And that's this Saturday.
That's right now. When I first saw the thing, I was okay, I got a month it's going to be in a month or something. But nope, next week.
And by all means, I think you guys need to be a member, if I'm not mistaken. So if you're not a member,
go get one. Go get a membership.
Yeah, do so. I am.
Yeah, I will be if I'm not already, because I lose track of these things. But I'm pulling up his page right now. So let's have a look here.
But he also has some other matches on the card also. And that's the thing about Neil, what makes Neil so awesome and great. The world may not know what's up next, but if you're part of a card coming up, you'll know about it, but the rest of the world will not.
Yeah,
which is awesome, because then it's everybody's oh man, when's the next ARMWARS? For all we know, the next ARMWARS was going to be Iron Horse number 3 at the end of March, right? That's all we talked about, and we don't know the entire card yet. Neil has a good idea, but we don't know the entire card yet, so even some of the pullers may or may not know who they're pulling. So
check this out. 5 matches on the card. Coach Ray versus Mendogas. Interesting. Ooh. Bogdan is back, and Philip Fritz, both arms. Ooh.
You know what match intrigues me out of this?
Which one?
I mean, obviously Devin and Sanders. I like the Jason Hill and Maynard. That's an intriguing match to me.
Yeah. Great card, Neil. Amazing.
I'll be kind of curious. Is it going to be at the house where they have Iron Horse, or going to a separate venue? I'll be kind of curious. Matter of fact, it's so excited that I went ahead and ordered one of those ARMWARS dark card hoodies. So check it out. I ordered one, right? ARMWARS fan, of course. I already have one. And, I ordered this one, right? Here's the funny part. Put my order in. All right, cool. Then all of a sudden, Devin has his. Hey, I have one now. And now Sanders has one. So I'm thinking, can I just stab myself with a pen right now? Because I think Devins is kind of green, as he should. I think Sanders has like a purple one. So I'm thinking, damn, now they got their own, separate signature dark card hoodies and stuff. So make sure you guys get on the website and order one, by the way. So that's big time stuff. It's big time stuff right there.
Yep. Amazing event, Neil. We're going to watch it for sure. Now, put that in the chat.
There you go.
That's how you join. $9 a month ish, approximately.
Easy. Drop in the bucket.
Now, Tim Bresnan.
Bresnan, Austin Jaggers.
Austin Jaggers. Yep. Oh, we're going to have Sanders versus Devin both arms, they're thinking, but probably won't show the left arm right away. Okay. Well, Neil, I hope you will send me a message just to let me know who won that match, but and I won't tell anyone, I promise. Anyway, back to Tim Bresnan. Now,
hey Neil, when this show is over, message me, please. Okay.
Tim
Bresnan Jaggers.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Daddy's revenge. Here's my thoughts. Austin looked good early. He looked good early, not super dominant, and Tim was putting the brakes on a little bit as the match went on. You saw Tim seem to have the stamina advantage, and in the end, the match was decided on fouls, but they were fouls. So it depends on the rule set they had previously agreed to. I heard a lot of criticism of the refereeing, but if that's the rule set they decided to use, so be it.
Before I get into the match itself, I want to talk about the scenery. I think it took place in a movie theater, the way the setup I saw. If you saw Alan Ford's video, his version, they're on stage. So you can see like the stage, sitting in the background, like it was kind of like this. And It made it seem like it was like in a movie theater, which I think is kind of cool, actually. Because then you can't talk about people, hey, sit down, we can't see. You don't have to deal with that. I also noticed on stage, lots of people with cameras. Like Alan Ford, Brad Cook, Cobra Rose, Devin Larrett, Artem Taranenko, and then some other guy. I mean, there were like 6 people on stage with cameras. I don't know if that's normal, but that's what it was. There was a lot of restarts in round 2. Lots, and about, Austin pushing Tim's elbow off the pad, false starting, elbow fouling. And again, when you get to those kind of matches, you're going to wear yourself out, especially when you have nothing but restart after restart after restart. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think Neil has a good comment here. So let's put it up here. Jaggers looked great, although inexperienced and was unlucky to not get that win. That said, nice to see Tim get a result to keep him motivated and relevant to those who may not know much about him. Yeah, for sure. Agreed. I think here's the other thing. A lot can be learned from observing guys like Tim Bresnan. I didn't like the fact that, when I pulled Austin, he kind of made an excuse for losing. When he lost to Tim, he kind of made an excuse for that. The one thing I will say about that is, if you are truly in belief of the rationale you give for a loss, how will you improve? If you truly believe that a referee screwed you, what do you take away from that to go back home and work on?
Good question. But you don't want to be labeled as a guy that always complains about the refs, because I don't want to say this will happen, but if this continues, then you got to go, okay, why do I want you at my event if all you're going to do is blame the refs if you happen to lose? Because if you happen to win, are we still blaming the refs for some of those matches that you did lose? Right?
Yeah. Do we talk about it? Is it a speaking point at all?
Because
do you not learn throughout 5 matches that you're going to get called on fouls?
And think about it. The match was, 3-2. So Austin did get some victories, but he's not complaining about the wins he got though. So at some point you got to go, okay, you take that match, go back to the drawing board. Why did I lose? Hey, if I would have kept my elbow on and not shoved my elbow forward, that could have saved me some juice to where I'm not worn out if you're going best of 5. You know what I mean? Because out of 5 matches, officially, how many starts did they have?
I didn't count, but there's a lot.
Yeah.
The other thing is 2 top rollers that when one of them is transitioning into a press, there's bound to be some fouls.
Not if you keep that pressure. If you're top rolling and you go to transition, you got to keep your elbow on the pad and put pressure on it, because if you try to transition, you don't have that pressure, your elbow's going to pop up. That's just the physics, right? But if you plant that elbow and you're trying to top roll, you can't do it. Okay, then you transition, you put weight on that elbow, and then you make that transition here. Now I can press down. Without that pressure, you're going to have the elbow foul. That's what I saw.
Yeah, for sure. And I wasn't watching that closely, but didn't Jaggers get called on a couple of things with intentionally trying to push his opponent off?
Yeah.
The javelin.
The match too. It was, and I watched Alan Ford's view, his camera, so his was kind of pointing behind the A side ref. So, if you're looking at it straight ahead, the puller on the left hand side of the head ref, that's where Alan Ford had his video from. So I really couldn't see Austin do that, but I saw Tim kind of, you saw Tim's back and it kind of bucked like that. And that's when Tim kind of, lost his mind on there and said, hey, but I don't want to sit there and make this an episode of banging on the refs, but I will say this. Both refs, it seemed like they had different opinions about some of those calls.
Yeah. When they're not on the same page, it's not the best.
So it's like, oh, okay. But, and I actually talked to Tim this morning. I was like, dude, what the hell happened over the weekend? I mean, was there like it got a little chippy there? And I said, was there like a rules meeting? He goes, no. He thought there were AAA rules.
AAA.
One of the matches where, hey, you can't have your shoulder across the imaginary line or whatever. That'd be a foul, but they didn't call it. So I'm thinking, okay, is there a rules meeting? Did you guys talk about that prior to the event start? Whatever the case may be. I think we're at that now. Once again, I don't want to sit there and make this a reffing bashing session, but if you want to go back to East vs. West number 6, Michael had issues with the ref. Jerry did. There were some false starts that maybe Chance did or did not have. I mean, you call it what you want, but at the same time, it's like, okay, you have to go in with the mindset of like, I can't worry about the refs, because if I get too caught up on the refs, then now I'm out of my own game. You know what I mean? That's just, sometimes you have to go into a tournament or a match going, hey, guess what? I'm going to walk to this table and I already have 1 foul on me. That's how you get the mindset. If you have that mindset, then everything else, I guarantee you one thing. If you don't have a foul, you might get a loosey-goosey, but I guarantee you get an elbow foul or whatever, and you go back up to restart, I guarantee you're going to behave on the table. So you may have to go in with that mindset.
Yeah, and that's why the match is best of 5, not best of 1, too. So, I mean, you got opportunity to correct what you're doing.
Right. As in WAL, where they had, the 3 foul system? So you can kind of get a little relaxed or get a little, you can play the game, I guess you can say. But if you go in there with the mindset of, hey, you know what, I already got a foul coming to the table, cool, I'm going to be on my best behavior because I don't want to lose,
Yeah, Dan, Austin is still growing. I think he's only late 20s, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, he's getting bigger, better. And speaking of Austin, he's going to be having another tough match right away.
Who's he pulling again? Oh, yeah, Derek Smith.
Yeah, that guy. So
will
we got
be at Winter Blast, March 11th, I believe.
yeah, and Derek just one of his more recent wins, and I use that in relative terms because it wasn't that long that recent, but for a win, it was one of his more recent, was against Tim Bresnan.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have Derek coming up with Austin.
I'm going to say, and this is March, so we still got the whole month of February to worry about. But, and we'll talk more about that as we get closer. But I will say this. I'm glad Derek's taking this match because the last couple of times we saw Derek wasn't the greatest, you know. I meant one-on-one, not so much tournament, but one-on-one. Wasn't the greatest output. He knows that. And maybe he kind of go, you know what? Let me take a step back, reevaluate myself, work on the holes of my game, and come back. So now you got Austin Jaggers, the defending Arnold champion, by the way, you know. So there's that. But I'm assuming he's not going to the Arnolds because his Winter Blast match with Derek is the weekend after. So I'm assuming Austin's not going to defend his title. So, but I'm glad Derek gets to, you know, when you talk about the future of the superweights here in the States anyway, it was always three guys: Corey, Chance, Derek. Corey's gone up. Chance kind of went up and down, back on the rise now, and Derek is kind of still in the starting block. So I'm glad he gets this opportunity, you know, to prove himself. So let me ask you, Ryan, you pulled Austin before. If for some reason Derek gets the win, where does that put Derek at? If Austin gets the win, where does that put Austin at?
I don't know, man. It's like 1 and A. Like I think they're so closely seen, we'll say, that they'll just swap places. You know, it's not like one of them gets a huge boost out of beating the other one right now.
Momentum, though.
Momentum, I think it's more important for Derek to win.
Yeah.
Because Austin has time on his side, like a lot more. He is getting better every single time he goes and competes. Man, I just think Derek needs it more. Like, let's be fair. Like when we're talking about, and there's comments that say this, I got to get to Neil's thing here. There's comments that say this, that we're talking about Revaz and we're talking about Morozov. Like Derek pulled animals. Like there's no way around it. Like Derek jumped up 7 levels when he jumped in with those guys, right? I don't think he even knew what he was getting himself into at the time, and neither did we.
But you don't know until you try, though, right?
That's right. So he jumped in there, you know, and Derek's momentum got stopped a little bit, but there's such a gap between the two guys that he pulled and the guys that he's now going against over here. So I think this will be a more true representation of where he's at. We'll know. I mean, I would, and man, I hate predicting this one because I like both guys a lot.
Well, we don't have to do it now because it's not until March 11th. So we
have
but
if Derek is training and he looks like the same guy that pulled Revaz, I mean, he should be favored.
Yeah. There we go. That's the comment I want to see you highlight. Derek Smith, Matt Maskin ARMWARS. Also, Ryan Espey, as Paul calls him, versus Mendaugas. What's your thoughts on that?
I saw a video with Mendaugas calling me out. There was a call out, and I believe it was after an Arm Gods event where he was sitting there talking with the Aussie arm wrestler, and
not the one he had the belt. He just won the title and had the belt.
Yeah. And I said I accept, and I haven't heard anything since. But I mean, it's no promotion is set, Neil. So I mean, hey, what the hell?
In other words, Neil, you have first dibs. Why not? You know, you get first dibs. I like that.
Yeah.
Also, this past weekend, Fit for Fight. Ryan, you know something about that. Did you compete at a Fit for Fight one time?
I'm still their left arm super heavyweight champion.
Yeah. So
done that belt at some point. Yeah.
Uncle John versus Kane Hemsey.
In fairness, I only caught the main event.
Okay, the match I was really interested in, I had valid interest, was Uncle John versus Kane Hemsey. So Uncle John won that 3-1. Uncle John got momentum going. I mean, let's be real, fellas.
Uncle John never looked uncomfortable.
Yeah, he looked like he was like, okay. Once the first, after the first match, the winner of a first match, super match, I always want to see their reaction. Because then they'll probably tell you with the body language, facial expressions, they'll probably tell you how it's going to be the rest of the way,
But here's the weird thing. Like, the setups looked weird. Like, Kane came in, grabbed, medium height, not high, not low.
Right.
Uncle John was so high and had floating fingers the whole time and just took control of Kane's hand every single time the go was said. Mm-hmm. Looked super comfortable every time. And then Kane, from an extended position, tried to come in with a press. It was, and you gotta, like, Kane's a former national champ a few times.
Yeah.
In 198. John used to be a super heavyweight. And he still probably can compete with a lot of the super heavyweight guys in Canada.
Here's the thing, what people, not everybody, but some people, may forget. Like you said, John was over 300 pounds once upon a time, right? Big guy, big hands, lost over 100 and some odd pounds. But guess what, guys? His hand never shrunk. His weight might have shrunk, his body may have shrunk, but his hands are still the same size. So when you put Uncle John in some of those, lower tier weight classes, like, heavyweight now, maybe light heavyweight, that could pose a problem.
When do we get to see Jody Williams versus Uncle John?
That will be in Manchester, England, my friend. That will be at ARMWARS, my friend. And like I said, my whole thing was to make sure Uncle John walked out of there healthy.
Yeah.
Because, he had the ARMWARS match, right, earlier this month. And he had Kane Hemsey over the weekend. So I'm thinking, all right, Uncle John, wish you luck. Please don't get hurt. Stay healthy, stay healthy. Walked out of both with a victory, and he's healthy. And now it's go time. It's go time. Yeah. He ain't gonna do that against me. I tell you what, he can climb all he wants to.
Do you have a date against me? Do you have a date for that match?
Not the day of, but I know March 23rd through the 28th will be ARMWARS Iron House 3. I don't know what day it is. That's all I know.
Sounds good. All right, buddy.
I don't know who else I'm pulling either. So
hey,
I don't know who else I'm pulling either. So
right. Is Uncle John even an uncle? That remains to be seen. I'm not sure.
When I get done with him, he's gonna be my nephew. That's all I gotta say.
He's oh, there's so many things to say, but
but other than that, though, I like the curveball, the dark ARMWARS dark card. That it was funny because, again, coming off of East versus West number 6, and everyone's attention was, okay, the co-main event for King of the Table, Gasparini Levon, Saplenkov and Brzezinski, and all of a sudden, whoa, pump the brakes. We have something else before that. And then it was like, what? And then Neil announces the card just moments ago in the chat, and I was like going, okay, here we go. I like this.
So better have some good referees.
You know what? I have nothing bad to say about the referees there because, number one, they don't take no stuff. And number two, it's like,
neither do I.
Right. I guess your dogs have something to say about the refs too. But, my thing is this, though. You listen to the ref. The ref's in charge, right? If the ref says don't move in the ref script, then don't move. It's not that hard. I was taught to listen to the ref's command, right? If they say don't move, then don't move. How hard is that? You know? I mean, seriously, it is. I hate to see people, you know. Thank you, Mr. Pickup. Thank you. And the thing is, though, you got to realize, depending on where the match is, you don't want people traveling across the pond, across the country, just to get there and foul out and argue with the ref. Just put that elbow down. We all came to pull. You want to know for yourself, am I good against my opponent? The whole world watching wants to know, are you good versus your opponent? Or is that opponent good enough for you? We all want to see it. Plant that elbow down and don't overthink it. Just pull. Within the rules, of course, but just pull. Yep. I think the problem is that some pullers, not all, but some pullers want to manipulate, I guess you can say that word, to see how much they can get away with, you know? And, you know, they'll say, hey, start straight. Okay, I'm starting straight. I'll start straight, but then my shoulder's like that. Straighten your shoulder. Okay, I'll straighten my shoulder, but then I'm like this. Okay, wrist. Okay, I'll straighten it. Now I'm like that again. So it's just a mind game, you know? It's a mind game.
Hey, Dan is in the chat trying to get Neil to give him a match. Come on, Neil.
But I like that. But, yo, hey, Ryan, I like that. Yes, I like the call-out that you had. Neil, that would be an awesome match to see.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens, buddy.
Yeah, we'll love to be in your corner for that match if you happen to go to Iron House 3. No. Yeah, number 3.
Yeah. All right, my friend. Time to put a bow on this one.
Dude, that was quick. That was probably the world's quickest 51 minutes ever.
Man, we just jumped in. So what the hell?
Yes.
So now I can go back and build up our thumbnail and all the stuff we talked about, because we kind of went all kinds of directions on that one, but we, we covered a lot.
But I tell you what, next Monday's going to be great.
You know what? After a Devin Larratt match, we always have something to talk about. You know?
Yeah. And the sad thing about this, Ryan, we didn't do a prediction show for this dark card match.
Pick the winner of that match. Just the main event.
Well, what hand are we talking about?
Right hand.
Ouch.
That's the main one, right? They said
yeah,
it was a left-handed match, but it would be maybe aired later.
If it's left hand, I'm picking Sanders. But if right hand, I gotta go. It depends on what Devin can get away with.
Hey, we got a member signed up to the channel. Adam Oswald. Thank you, sir.
Way to go. Appreciate that. And we're talking 6 rounds, so it's 6 rounds no matter what. I think Devin is at a point where, you know what? He knows the game. You know, I'm going to bleed this guy out rounds 1 and 2. So that way, and Devin will give up a couple matches. He'll give up match 1, maybe match 2 to drain him out. So that way it sets the tone for the rest of the 4 matches. He'll come back with those 4 victories. If he can stop the match, it's going to be interesting. But if he can't stop the match, then I don't know. It might be rough for Devin.
I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm going to say that Sanders, as an underdog, I believe he's the underdog, that Sanders wins the match.
Well, like Neil just said in the chat, if Sanders wins, internet, he might break the internet.
Yeah, so.
Because now everybody's going to go after Devin's title at East vs. West then.
Well, it would definitely set up a rematch.
But it didn't happen without Neil. Doesn't happen without Neil.
That's
Neil was the first to do it. So there you go.
You know what? Neil, good for you for getting this match, because I fully anticipated seeing this at one of England's events.
There you go.
There you go.
Good job, Neil. Way to keep everybody on their toes.
Yeah. All right, buddy. We'll see you next week when we will have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we will review and rehash the ARMWARS dark card match. Everybody, enjoy your magnificent Monday. Ryan, I will see you back here next Monday morning.
Same time, same place.
Yes, gentlemen, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you guys soon.